You're listening to the BBM Global Network with 25 years in broadcast audio and video production. Our passionate team creates content and marketing for the world of Internet Talk Radio. If you've got a passion, come join us at bbmglobalnetwork.com. The BBM Global Network. Your voice is now heard.
Nancy Anger, who loves helping people break through to a fulfilling and well-lived life, is here with Light Up Your Life. Join Nancy, an intuitive guide and master energy healer, and her extraordinary expert guests for fresh new ideas and life-changing stories. So please welcome the host of Light Up Your Life, Nancy Anger.
Hi everyone, I'm your host, Nancy Anger. This is Light Up Your Life, and we're coming to you live today on the Bold Brave TV network, and welcome. So before we dive in, I want to say thank you for joining me today, whether you're listening now in this now moment or listening to the replay in the future. So let's just start by taking a minute and connecting together. Let's take a minute and just come bring your energy, your attention, wherever it is. Just take a breath in and let yourself drop into your body, down into your heart. Good. So we're going to start by setting an intention. So I first started working with intention, or became aware of the power of intention, probably about 20 years ago. And I had been taking classes for a while, and I started taking a new class, a new kind of yoga class I had never tried before. And at the beginning, we would set a powerful heart-centered intention. And I realized it made a huge difference in how I experienced the whole class. Everything shifted from that. And now science, I've been using intention ever since, and now science has actually proven that's how the universe is created, through intention. So we always have intentions, whether we realize it or not, but when you bring anything conscious, it empowers it. So just take a moment now and drop into your heart and set an intention. What is it that you most want to receive in this moment from this class, or in this day, from the show, or in this day? And if nothing comes to mind, that's okay too. Just set the intention to receive whatever you most need, whatever is in your highest. So in today's show, we're going to be talking about how to shift mental, physical, and emotional stress, attention in the body, the mind, the emotions, and to access more calm, focused energy, presence, and self-awareness. And the powerful tool I've been working with for many years, and it's something that you always have with you. You can access anytime, anywhere. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You can do it, and you can also set aside time to work with it, but it's a very powerful tool, and it's free. So what is this tool I'm talking about? It's your breath. So from the day you are born until the day you die, your breath is always there, and yet most people, it's happening unconsciously, unless or until you have a problem. If you have a cold, or if you have asthma, or if you have other challenges with breathing, then we pay attention, right? Or unless you are someone like maybe an athlete, or someone that's practiced deliberate breath work for different reasons, singers, swimmers. There are many reasons why people might become more conscious of it. But today we're going to get even more conscious, whether it's something you've worked with before or not. One of the things especially I love about sharing and teaching is it's a reminder for me as well. So there was someone I talked to recently, they said they read the same spiritual book 8 times, and every time they read it, they got something new out of it. So whether you're new to this or it's something you've worked with before, my intention is for some new aha, some new shift for you to happen. And one of the other things, you can watch a show, you can read a book, you can take a course, whatever it is, until you actually implement it and start to use it somehow, some way in your life, it's just going to be something you heard or something you saw. So we're going to do some things to help you experience it for yourself, and then you can pick and choose, oh, that felt really good. Let me start to play and experiment with that more. So it's about really finding what works for you and what feels good for you, and that can be different at any different time. So the breath can help with a good night's sleep. It can help with anxiety or stress. There's, I think that it's like 275 million people suffer with anxiety disorders at times, and certainly we all can feel like anxious, fear, stress at different times, sometimes for good reason, but sometimes it's just a pattern, and we're going to talk about that more as well. So you can live a long time without food, well, a good amount of time. There's a lot of fasting books out these days. You can live less time without water, but the breath, you can only live really a short time before it starts to have an impact. And so there's the conscious breath and the unconscious breath. So the different parts, so many of the, like, as I said, many times we're not even conscious of our breath. Perfect, right? We don't have to do anything for our breath to happen. But when you start using it in a conscious way, then you'll start to notice shifts and transformation, and it's a very powerful tool, even though it seems maybe simple unless you've used it. So first, let's just kind of check in of where you are at right now today in this moment. So a lot of times we might ask for things or do things or shift, but if we didn't check in where we were in the first place, then we might not notice the shift. So right now, if you were to take a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like, wow, I feel really relaxed today, and 10 being actually feeling kind of anxious and maybe a little bit, panicky, so that's 10, and 5 is somewhere in the middle. Now 5 can actually be like excitement. That can feel like excitement. Excitement, sometimes they say, is like anxiety. Anxiety is like excitement without the breath. So when you add the breath in, it starts to shift things, which we're going to start to experience pretty soon. So just notice right now what that number is, and don't judge yourself. Wherever you're at, just notice, because it is what it is. So my first experience with the breath was fitness. As I said, watching Richard Simmons, watching Richard Simmons years ago, he was so animated that it helped me really remember about and really see the importance of the breath. He would take a nice breath in and go, "Shh, come on everybody, shh." And it really, it made me remember and start to realize the breath. And I've been working with the breath for fitness for many years now. And through strength training, getting focus, it's super helpful for focus especially when you're doing challenging things, whether you're doing fitness or not fitness. And then also it can help using the exhalation or using your breath when you're doing something like yoga, when you're relaxing and stretching the body. And I also taught aerobics many years ago, and that physical activity also helps to increase the heart rate and helps the body's use of oxygen become even more effective. So just think about any times in your life, like, have you used the breath consciously, and how has it made an impact? So I'm going to talk even more about, as we dive in, about how to notice what's going on in your breath, what's going on in your body. And as you do, it's a super powerful thing. So we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I'm going to show you just that, how to get instant feedback on what's going on in your body, your mind, and your emotions at any given time. And it's very powerful. We'll be back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And we're back. I'm your host, Nancy Anger. This is Light Up Your Life. And we're live today on the Bold Brave TV network. And we're talking about the power of the breath. And again, the breath is always with you. You don't have to take any time out of your day or whatever you're doing to tune into your breath at any given time and notice what's going on. And it also gives you a powerful tool that you can begin to use once you start just tuning in. But the first part is tuning in, checking in. What's going on right now? And it's so let's just take a moment. And so all day long we're taking a breath, right? Or sometimes we're actually holding the breath, not even noticing. So you can't hold the breath for long. As I said, it's going to automatically start up again if you stopped pausing to breathe. But when we don't usually always think about receiving a breath. So now I just invite you to receive a breath. So just it shifts that intention a little bit from taking a breath to receiving. So receive a breath now. And I'm going to ask you, just start breathing in and out. What is your normal breath? So don't try to do or change anything. By observing, it's actually going to start changing itself. But right now, just start to receive a breath. Start to breathe in and breathe out. And just notice, are you breathing in and out through the nose or the mouth or some combination thereof? And this is not about a good, bad, right, wrong, because there is not. It's just observing, noticing where you're at. And now, where do you feel the breath? When you breathe in, do you feel places in your body expand? Do you feel your chest expand a little bit as you breathe in? And as you exhale, does it soften? Or do you feel it down in your belly? Does your belly expand? So some of you might actually feel the opposite. When we breathe in, the breath is kind of like a balloon. Your body, as your lungs expand, your body will expand in some ways. But sometimes we may have been trained or programmed somehow that as you breathe in, you might actually pull your belly in. And that's kind of like programming, or just, like, need to pull my stomach in, suck my stomach in. So just be aware of the tendencies. And I don't want you to try to change it or judge it or anything else as best you can, because just by observing, it will change. So just as I said, science has proven that intention creates world. Science has actually proven now that anything you observe changes. They've studied atoms, and an observed atom starts to change. It acts differently than one that's not observed. And don't ask me how they don't observe something and observe it. So I don't know the answer to that one. So And just notice in your body, is there any stress or tension? Any fear? Like, what are you noticing? Is there any pain in your body? And just observe it. Don't try to change it. It's just observing and noticing. Do you notice any emotions? Are you feeling distracted? Or are you able to just tune into your body? And this is also a kind of a cool place to notice your tendencies. So there's a saying I've said for many years, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So notice if you're trying to rush as we're in this, this show today. Are you trying to get to the next thing? Or are you able to just sit and be present with this moment? And again, it's just something to notice. The more you actually start to check in and be more accepting and noticing what's going on in your breath and your body at any given time, it actually helps you start to be more accepting of yourself and your life. It might sound really simple, but it's honestly really true. So now that you've noticed that, I'm going to show you something called the cleansing breath. And it's very simple. And you can do it anytime, anywhere. And it's like shifting your energy. So anytime maybe you want to shift your energy, it's like, say you go to work and you come home and you take off your clothes, you put on your comfy clothes or your slippers or whatever it is. The cleansing breath is a little bit like that. It's a way to just shift your energy fast. You can do it anytime, anywhere when you're like, I want to have a little shift here. I'm just feeling like I can just shift things and, I'm got some stinking thinking going on, or I'm feeling something and I just want to just clear that. Or it's a good signal to your body that something's changing. Sometimes I'll do it at the beginning of like a Akashic Records reading or a breathwork practice. So take a nice breath in through your nose if you can, and if you can only do it through your mouth, totally cool. So take a nice breath in, and then exhale out through the mouth with a sigh if you're somewhere you can. Otherwise, you can let it be more silent. The sigh actually also helps to just start to release any stress or tension or anything in your body that might be there. You might not have been aware of it, or, well, you might be because we just checked in. So again, another breath in. And good. And we're going to do one more. In and so actually by starting to do that, you're also starting to show your mind, tell your mind that things are okay. So there's the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is the part of you that gets activated when there's some stress that you got to handle, or maybe there's a situation, there's something that you got to handle right away. Maybe there's like you got to get out of the way. There's a car coming, and back in the cave days, it was like there to help you run from the saber-toothed tiger or whatever it was. But that system is actually only meant and intended for us to use for emergencies. It's an emergency-only system for the most part. But for many people, it's getting activated a lot these days, especially more and more and more. And what happens is it starts to build a pattern. So your mind gets activated, right? You might see something, hear about something, whatever it is, and you're like, your body goes on alert. And there's actually not something happening in the moment that you really need that information to happen, but yet it's going on in your body. But when you start working with the breath, so what happens is your mind gets stressed, then your breath starts to either get more shallow, more up in the chest, or more like rapid breathing, right? Which affects your oxygen, everything. And then that rapid breathing tells your mind and your system, oh, there's something to be afraid of here. So what happens is it builds a loop. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to share how to use the breath to relieve anxiety and to get you more back into that calm, grounded, present state. We'll be back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality? But it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating. Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Nancy Anger. This is Light Up Your Life, and we're live on the Bold Brave TV network today. So we're talking about, the stress loop and the cycle and the sympathetic nervous system. Well, the other aspect is the parasympathetic nervous system, and that is your rest and digest system. So when the sympathetic nervous system gets activated, as I said, from stress or fear, it's actually intended in case of emergency. It's your emergency system. When that happens, afterwards it's only meant for a short time. If it keeps getting activated, it's really hard on the body. It's hard on your systems. So the parasympathetic is the part of us that's meant to help rest and digest and relax and to really let your body kind of come back to its normal functioning. And really, it's also your body's time to heal itself. So, they talk about stress. Sometimes you may hear about stress being like part of a cause for dis-ease in the body. And so you can kind of understand where your system could get taxed if your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight's getting activated a lot. So how do you use more of the parasympathetic? How do you get more into that relaxation mode? There are many different ways, but the one we're talking about today, that simple tool, is the breath. And so earlier when we were checking in, notice what your tendency was for your breath. Were you breathing in and out through the nose, the mouth? What was going on? So when you breathe in and out through the nose, the hairs in your nose filter and warm the air. They filter, prevent things from coming into your system. And when you breathe in that way, it actually brings the breath, it activates the nerves down in the base of the lungs that activate the sympathetic nervous system. And so, as I was saying earlier, when you're breathing more, when you're feeling stressed or anxious, the breath will tend to be more up in your chest and more shallow breath, right? So it's more rapid, a little bit faster. But when you're taking deeper breaths and you're activating through the parasympathetic, your breath can actually move down deeper into your system, down into your belly even, which will feel more grounded and relaxing. So when you checked in earlier with your numbers, like 1 to 10, if you were on the lower scale, below the 5, chances are you're probably also feeling the breath a little more down in your belly. If we're on the upper numbers, chances are you're actually feeling it more up in your chest. Sometimes it almost can feel like you're breathing in your head when you're just feeling that stress, right? When you feel like, oh, the head. So the cool thing is when you can learn habits like shallow breathing, you can also create new habits. So also I mentioned earlier about the importance of implementing something you learn if you really want to get that into your system. So I do have a free calming breath, a guided meditation. It's a little less than, I think, 10 minutes that you can have. It's in the show notes, or you can get it on my website, nancyanger.com, nancyanger.com. There's a link at the top, or you can go under freebies. And it's really a great way to just sit, listen. It's like a plug and play, and just help kind of really pull you into that relaxation, make it a little bit part of a practice. So now we're going to do a counting breath. As I said, this is a breath that can give you focus, especially when anytime you're feeling challenged, and nobody has to be the wiser, right? No one would even know what you were doing. So you're going to breathe in and out through the nose if you can. And if not, just breathe in and out through your mouth. So as you inhale now, you're going to breathe in through the nose and just count to 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the counting actually serves to give you a focus. So you're going to continue like that. If you felt like the 4 count was too short or too long, you can change it. You can go to 5, you can go to 3. If you were to practice this breath for a while, you would most likely find that it started to lengthen. Your breath would maybe go longer, 5 or 6. And so just, because the yogis say prana is life force, right? It's the animating force inside of you. And so the yogis said we only have so many breaths in a lifetime, and I don't really believe that, but so when you breathe slower and longer, you're like extending your life by less breaths per minute per se. So just continue that breathing. It's a really beautiful way to give you focus and just shift your attention away from things. Because what happens when we feel anxious or stressed or whatever, we build a loop. Our mind goes there, and our mind goes there, and our mind goes there. And I remember one particular story years ago where we had some really stressful, money challenging, some problems. We had bought a business and we took a loan from the owner, and a year later we sold it, and the new person that bought the business, we financed it. So we relied on that payment from the new owner to pay the old owner. And what happened was the new person went bankrupt and stopped paying us. And so I remember many weeks, week after week, feeling stressed, even when I was playing with my kids, or should have been having, times that would have been fun, maybe out to dinner, or times that I normally would have been really enjoying myself. My mind kept getting stuck on the problem, what was going on, which eventually did resolve in a really beautiful way. But that stress actually, it built up in my body. And probably about not long after that happened, it was also, I had my 3rd daughter, and I woke up one day and I had a lot of neck and back pain, like chronic, really bad. And I know earlier we were talking about checking in on like observing what's going on. Well, this is a really good reason to, because I was not checking in. I didn't realize, oh, my back is hurting, my neck is hurting, until one day when I woke up and it was in excruciating pain. And it took quite a while for me to feel better. I went to the chiropractor, I went to massage, and it was finally when I started taking yoga and started learning about not just the yoga poses, but it was really the breath and learning to check in with myself. So it's an important thing to take care of yourself first. Like they say on the airplane, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And so we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to show you how to use your breath to tap into more calm and stillness and tap into your own true nature. And we'll be back.
The opiate epidemic has reached crisis levels, and with so many families affected by addiction, opiate-related drug overdoses, and death, the time is now to have a real constructive conversation about addiction that could lead to better prevention, treatment, and recovery. Alan Charles, author and keynote speaker on drug abuse and prevention, presents The Alan Charles Show. Alan brings a message of hope, sharing his unbelievable story of surviving a 24-year addiction to cocaine and highlights from his memoir, Walking Out the Other Side, an addict's journey from loneliness to life. His raw honesty and courageous heart breaks the stigma of addiction and offers a unique perspective into the mind of an addict. Join Alan each week as he brings his listeners to a true understanding of the grip of addiction. It is only with this understanding that we can begin to heal. The Alan Charles Show, Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network. Have you ever felt like no one is listening, or you're not getting the honest attention you deserve? Do you even know the kind of attention you want or need? You are not alone. Alice Aspen March is here to help. Thanks to Alice, through her epiphany and research over the word attention, there are solutions to the attention dilemma. Worldwide audiences have been enthralled and engaged for over 40 years with her visionary and pioneering observations. The kind of attention we get and give is vital to improving our lives and society. Alice and her weekly guests review game-changing insights for transforming and improving our understanding of attention, providing techniques for creating healthier and empowering behavior. Get a new perspective on a mainstream word. Tune into Why Our Attention Matters for fresh and thought-provoking conversations every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on boldbravemedia.com and the TuneIn Radio app.
And we're back. I'm your host, Nancy Anger. This is Light Up Your Life, and we're live on the Bold Brave TV network. So as I was saying, the third time that really, I didn't mention the second time I became aware of the breath was during Lamaze classes when I was having my children. And the breath I learned then was the breath I remember was the panting breath, and that really helped me get through and get really focused on giving birth, right? And that activated the sympathetic nervous system I was talking about earlier. And so there are times when it's really important for that system plays an important role. So we're not trying to say that it doesn't. Everything has its own role and its own time and its own place. But the third time, as I was starting to say, was when I started practicing yoga and started learning about the breath and tuning into myself. And a part of it was I hadn't really been paying enough attention to myself. I was taking care of my children and my family, but that pain brought me back into my body. And now I'm grateful because I've learned so much from it. But I also learned, one thing I learned, that was the pain it wasn't just a physical cause. It was actually the wake-up call that showed me that there was stuff going on in my life, my mind, my emotions that were also bringing this stress, causing this tension in the body. So we've talked about the inhalations and the exhalations and counting in the breath. But if you take a breath in, at the top of the breath, there's a little pause, and take the breath as you exhale out. There's a little pause at the top and the bottom of the breath. And unless you've practiced yoga or something else, you might not even ever be aware of that. You could live your whole life and not be aware of that at all. And there's actually breath practices that use breath retention that hold that pause longer. However, that's really something you need training to work with, and it's not for everybody. There are contraindications. So now I just want you to become aware as you inhale. Just notice the little pause there, and as you exhale, the pause. So once you start noticing that, so that's a place that you can actually tap into, all that is, your higher self. It also helps quiet the mind, tapping into that quiet space. It's like the gap. When you're breathing in, you're receiving new information, new oxygen, new energy, but it's also active. And the pause is stillness. It's like the step back. It's the witness self in a way. It also connects you to your real nature, right? Beyond just who you are as this human being out in the world. So then as you exhale, right? When we exhale, that is our expression. When we speak, when we sing, we do that on an exhalation. That's when you're expressing yourself. So the breath in you can think of it like receiving the wisdom, as you set an intention, receiving the wisdom that you need from the universe, or the oxygen, the energy. But this breath and this pause and the intention, it connects you to your wise self. Beyond the stories of the mind and the brain, it's an opportunity to connect you with that part of yourself. And you can also use it to connect with your creative energy, so you can think of it, the breath that we're breathing, the air that we're breathing today is the same breath that Jesus and Buddha and Mother Teresa and Picasso and some really, amazing masters and teachers have breathed. And there's masters and teachers that are alive today. So you can actually set the intention and use your breath to breathe in some of that breath, some of that energy. Say you are an artist, you can tap into that, maybe Picasso or someone that you really admire. You can really imagine that you're receiving and breathing in some of that wisdom. And science proves things more and more that mystics and yogis and others have learned way ahead of time, and then science proves it. So I personally experienced it myself, being able to receive like wisdom through the breath. So the breath is a really wise teacher. I was talking a little bit earlier too about how, when my neck and back pain came, it was really, it was brutal. My life was out of balance, and that showed me that it really was out of balance. And as I said, when they say on the plane, when the oxygen mask comes down, you put it on yourself first, because if you don't, even if you have a child or you have, someone else that really needs you, if you don't put the oxygen mask on, you're gonna, go for a couple minutes maybe, and then you're not gonna be any help. So you got to put it on yourself first. Then you can, help other people if that's what that's what you want to do. So the breath can teach about balance. We did the in breath and the out breath. You need to take in a breath before you can exhale out a breath, before you can give, before you can express. You need to receive. So notice in your breath too, like when you breathe in, is it hard for you to breathe in? Can you take a full breath, or is that a challenge? And that can connect to how hard is it or how easy is it for you to receive. And then exhaling, is it harder for you to exhale or let go? And that can connect to how hard it is for you to release or clear, or really to let go of things. I know personally, sometimes I'll notice it's harder for me to let go, to exhale. The full exhalation can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge. One thing I noticed last year before the pandemic, and probably a few months before, I actually realized I had a hard time getting the really deep breaths, or the deeper breaths that I normally could take. There was something like a tension going on in my body, and I didn't know what it was at the time. I feel like now there was some premonition or some sense, but I just noticed. I was like, what's going on? And it caused me to become more aware, and then start to say, how can I shift this? I need a little more self-care right now. So the breath calls you back in the present moment, and it lets your nervous system know, hey, it's okay. So just take a moment, a check right now, and notice where you're at on that 1 to 10 scale. Again, 1 was really super chill, 10 was super stressed out, and just notice if anything is shifted. And what is your number now? And don't try to, just let it be whatever it is. So we are going to take a short break, And when we come back, I'm going to show you a breath to help calm the mental chatter. Sometimes people call it the monkey mind because the mind jumps around. It's going to be like an inner massage for the mind. And we'll be back.
Mike Zorak, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorak, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorak has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network. Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families,
And we're back. I'm your host, Nancy Anger. This is Light Up Your Life, and we're live on the Bold Brave TV network. And we're talking about the power of using conscious breath to affect so many things, to affect your physical body, your mental body, your emotions, really your whole life, as you just by tuning in and becoming aware. So if you have ever sat down and opened a bag of chips or a bag of cookies, and then you suddenly looked down and you ate half the bag, then that's what happens. That's part of like when we do things unconsciously. And again, as I said earlier, like part of our lives are, there's benefits to doing things unconsciously. Imagine if you had to relearn how to brush your teeth every day, right? There's things we don't need to notice or pay attention to, but it's really powerful and important when you do start to bring more consciousness to things. It can really, it's like what I'm getting in my mind is like that hamster wheel of life that we can all get on. But when you just pause, it's like stepping off the hamster wheel and it's giving like a little mini review, right? And then when we check in, like if I had checked in a little sooner on what was going on in my body, my neck, maybe I wouldn't have had to go to that level it did to get my attention. And so, and whatever, wherever you're at, if you're having pain or you're having something, it is what it is. There's always lessons, there's learning, there's no good or bad. It's like you are where you are at. As a matter of fact, when we think we're supposed to be somewhere further along, that's when we are judging ourselves, because just, we're at where we're at. Even if we wish we were somewhere different, further along, we're at where we're at. And when you accept it, there's like a little bit more peace that happens, right? A sense of more like, oh, this is where I am. And that's part of the breath work. It's just coming into the moment and saying, hey, I'm okay right now. If you're, listening or watching this show in this moment, then things are probably okay right now in your life in this moment. Even if there's other things you've got going on outside, which pretty much most people do, right? Right now in this moment, you're okay. And the more you can find those moments of feeling okay in the present moment, the more that expands out into everything in your life, even feeling okay in challenging moments. So if you've ever practiced yoga, and maybe you didn't, but yoga can be hard, right? stretching, and it awakens and does things in your body that can be sometimes uncomfortable. And that's where part of the breath comes in with yoga, right? Is learning to breathe through things. So learning to breathe through difficult things and challenges and whatever, and to move to the next place, and you feel more peaceful, more empowered. It's really a way to understand and know that you're okay in the moment. So when I started practicing yoga, it was more than 20 years ago. I learned to use the breath in a whole new way, and it became such a powerful catalyst for my own healing that eventually that's what started me sharing the practices and teaching others. So as I was saying earlier too, it's important to really, things don't make an impact until we implement it. So you can get the free calming breath meditation at my website. If that interests you, it's less than 10 minutes long. It's free. My website is nancyanger.com, NANCYANGER.com, and there's a link at the top or under freebies. So the breath we're going to use now that's going to help calm that potential monkey mind is called the Ujjayi or ocean sounding breath. And it's one of the prime breaths in many yoga practices, and it's one of the breaths we learn to kind of breathe through the practice. So I used to call it a little bit the Darth Vader breath, because it's that little bit of that whispery sound in the back of the throat. So I'm going to open my mouth for a moment just to hear it, so you can hear that. So you want the whispery sound to actually be a little bit more quiet. So if someone were near you, they would not hear the whispery sound. So you're going to close your mouth, and if you can, just breathe in and out through the nose, but start to tone that throat a little bit so there's that whispery sound in the throat as you breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And just notice as you're breathing in and breathing out, even just doing it, I can already feel like my mind is relaxing even more to a new level. And what I said earlier, you can feel like, to me, it's like a massage for the brain, for the mind. So you can even think of like it's the ocean sounding or Ujjayi breath. As you inhale, you can think of like the breath, like the ocean is coming up onto the shore, the waves sweeping up to the shore, and on the exhalation, it washes out and clears away any debris, anything that's no longer serving you. Each new breath brings new energy, new inspiration, just what you need. Brings your intentions to you, your dreams, your hopes, and each breath releases anything that might be standing in the way, releases toxins, releases the past, releasing stagnant energy, making space for the next breath to come in. In a sense, when we're holding on to something from the past, right, that we can't no longer change, it keeps some of our energy there. And you can use the breath to become aware of that and to transform it. Now, sometimes there might be, so if you do your check-ins and you're like, there's that thing again, you can notice, is there something for you to do? And you might get a yes, you might get a no. And if there isn't something to do, then maybe you can just set the intention, okay, maybe it's time to let this go, because I've learned from it, whatever it is. Thank you for coming into my life, but I'm going to let you go now. And it frees up more space. So it's just like the exhalation frees up space for the inhalation. The inhalation allows you to receive, but then you can exhale whatever came in, like we inhale and we receive the breath, the oxygen, and then we send it back out it's transformed. So anytime you feel out of balance, you can use the breath to rebalance or restore your energy. If your energy is low, you can lengthen the inhalations. You can even open your chest more. Sometimes when we're stressed or tired, we close off the chest. So you can open your chest a little more, which opens your heart, and receive more of a full breath. or if you need to exhale more, you can also, if you want to relax before bed, you can focus on the exhalation more. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some ways to use the breath in really fun ways to make a difference and enhance your life. I know I get bored easily, so while I feel like regular practice is important, it needs to be fun. So we'll be back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And we're back. I'm your host, Nancy Anger. This is Light Up Your Life, and we're live on the Bold Brave TV network. So as we've been talking about today, the breath is a powerful tool, and when you use it consistently or consciously consistently, it can make a positive difference in your energy and your ability to feel more calm and centered. And you can also access your wisdom and creative energy. So you don't need any equipment, and it might not always be appropriate to close your eyes depending what you're doing or where you're at, but you can still use it anytime, anywhere, without anyone else being the wiser. You can just take a breather. So you can also make it fun. As I said, it's when things are fun, we're more likely to do it, when it's enjoyable, when we see a result, right? So you can practice walking through the grocery store, or when you're waiting in line somewhere, or wait in the waiting room, or maybe if you're stuck in traffic. Or you can put a reminder, maybe instead of rushing to check your emails or social media, that can be the signal to pause and take a couple breaths. So when you shift yourself through the breath or through awareness, it also shifts your intention, and your body will feel a little more relaxed. It's, oh, they're paying attention to me right now. Because sometimes the body, as I was saying earlier, I had some of that pain that came it seemed all of a sudden. It was like my body was really trying to get my attention. So when you give a little attention and you check in, then I found I don't have that buildup like I had that experience, because I never want to repeat that again. I've had different little aches and pains in the body. I've never had anything that built up as extremely like that before. So again, anytime if you're feeling some pain in your body, you can also breathe into your body. You can take your breath as you're breathing, and if you feel some pain or discomfort, you can imagine breathing into that place. You can also put your hand there, as we did earlier, putting the hand on the belly. You could put your hand wherever you might feel a little pain if you can reach it, or you can intend it. You can do it out in nature, really beautiful, powerful, and sometimes too I like to You can lie down with your belly down either in your house or outside, and just notice how that feels. Particularly specifically, imagine expanding your belly out against the floor or the earth. And that will help you to tune into breathing deeper. You can also practice when you first wake up to set the tone for your day, and then practice before bed will help calm yourself for a better night's sleep. So times when I felt stress in my life, I've just become more aware of, oh yes, when you practice and implement, it becomes a more regular part of your life. And when you feel more calm and centered, it just becomes, your energy is calmer. So let's take a few more moments here to breathe together as you're breathing in and breathing out. And close your eyes if you can. And then imagine everyone else in this call and everyone else on the earth breathing in and breathing out in harmony. Even imagine the earth herself taking a nice big breath in and out. And on that beautiful note, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. And I'm Nancy Andrew. You've been watching Light Up Your Life on the Bold Brave TV network. Until next time, be well.
This has been Light Up Your Life with your host, Nancy Andrew. Why settle for less when you can stack the deck for more fun and better results? So tune in each week for a dose of inspiration and living your life to the fullest right here on Nancy Andrew's Light Up Your Life.
You've been listening to the BBM Global Network. The ideas, views, and opinions of this broadcast are those of the participants of the program and are not necessarily the ideas, views, and opinions of the BBM Global Network Company.